Let me be completely transparent with you about my journey. When I first landed in Cebu back in 2010, I had $30,000 to my name. That might sound like a decent amount to some of you, and others might think it's nowhere near enough. But the truth is, no amount of money can guarantee success when your mindset isn't right. I came here after a 2.5-year online relationship with a Filipina. You know, those stories you hear about, love and starting over in paradise. Well, mine began more like a cautionary tale. Within a year, that relationship ended. And I'm not going to dive into the details or point fingers. That's not what the story is about. Causing pain to others isn't my purpose. But here's where it gets real. When that relationship ended, I made a decision that probably sounds crazy to most people. I left everything behind, including what money I had left. I knew in my heart that going back to America wasn't my path, even though staying meant facing complete uncertainty. By 2011, I was at what most would consider rock bottom. No home, battling amoeba, physically sick, emotionally drained. But let me tell you something important. This wasn't bad luck or the Philippines being harsh to foreigners. This was the result of my own decisions, my own thought patterns. I was carrying around thoughts like, I'm a loser, I'm not good enough, they were right, I'll never make it. These weren't just thoughts, they were chains holding me down. But here's what's fascinating about hitting rock bottom. You discover what you're really made of. While everything external was crumbling, two things remained unshaken. My faith in God and, somewhere deep inside, my faith in myself. People watching this right now might be thinking, this guy's absolutely crazy. He lost everything and he's talking about faith. Yes, I am. Because what I discovered in that darkest moment was that sometimes you have to lose everything material to find what's truly valuable. Now let me be clear. I'm not romanticizing hardship. Being homeless in a foreign country, being sick with no support system, it was terrifying. But it was also the beginning of something I never could have imagined at the time. And that's what I want you to understand. Whether you're planning your move to the Philippines, or you're already here and struggling, or you're just facing your own personal crossroads wherever you are, sometimes what looks like an ending is actually your beginning. But everything changed when I met Caroline. Meeting Caroline was more than just meeting someone new. It was, as Neville Goddard would say, entering a state of consciousness where I could finally recognize the divine within myself. Caroline and her family showed me something profound, something I couldn't see when I was trapped in those old thought patterns. They didn't just offer me support, they reflected back to me what I could become. In Filipino culture, there's this beautiful concept of kapwa, seeing yourself in others. Through their eyes, I began to see myself differently. Remember those negative thoughts I mentioned? They started to shift, not because someone told me to, think positive, George, but because I began to understand what Neville meant when he said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. The compassion of my Filipino family, and yes, I call them family because that's what they became, wasn't just about giving me a place to stay or helping me when I was sick. They showed me what unconditional love looks like in action. While I thought I had nothing to give, they saw abundance in me that I couldn't yet see in myself. But here's the real transformation. I stopped seeing myself as a foreigner who had failed and started seeing myself as someone who belonged exactly where I was. Every challenge, every setback wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me. This wasn't just positive thinking, this was a complete revision of my self-concept. Caroline didn't just support me, she became my partner in believing in possibilities. Together, we started to imagine a different future, not one based on where we were at the moment, but one based on who we knew we could become. As Neville teaches, we started living from the end, feeling the reality of our success before it manifested physically. What I learned during this time was that hitting rock bottom had forced me to let go of everything. It forced me to let go of everything I knew or thought I knew about success, about worth, about what's possible. In that emptiness, I found fullness. In that silence, I heard truth. In that darkness, I found light. But the story doesn't end with just a change in mindset. What happened next would prove to everyone who said it couldn't be done with that faith, persistence, and the right consciousness, anything is possible. What happened next defied every limiting belief about what foreigners can achieve in the Philippines. But remember, as Neville teaches, circumstances don't matter. State of consciousness does. Caroline and I began building our future not with grand capital or outside investments, but with something far more powerful, an unshakable knowing that abundance was our natural state. We started small, but our vision was anything but small. While others said it was impossible to create passive income streams here as a foreigner, we understood that those were just stories people had accepted as truth. One business led to another. Each success, no matter how small, confirmed what we already knew in our consciousness to be true, that limitations exist only in the mind. We didn't just create businesses, we created value for our community. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more we focused on giving value rather than getting profit, the more abundance flowed. When people ask me how we did it, they're often looking for a business plan or investment strategy. But what they really need to understand is this. Success didn't come from what we did. It came from who we became. Every morning, I lived in the end of already being successful, already being fulfilled, already being of service to others. We built multiple income streams, yes. But most importantly, we built relationships. We created opportunities, not just for ourselves, but for others. In the Philippines, I discovered that true wealth isn't measured by what you have, but by what you give. Every time someone said, that's impossible here, we didn't argue. We simply proved through our lived experiences that impossibility is just an option. Consider this. The same country where I once found myself homeless and sick became the very place where I discovered unlimited potential. The same culture that some foreigners view as challenging became my greatest blessing. It's not about where you are, it's about who you are being in that place. Caroline and her family's initial kindness didn't just help me survive, it taught me how to truly live. We've created stability, yes, but more than that, we've created a life that proves what's possible when you dare to imagine beyond current circumstances. But here's what you really need to understand about rebuilding your life. So when someone asks me what happens when the money runs out in the Philippines, I have to smile because they're asking the wrong question. The real question is, who will you become when everything external falls away? Let me share something profound with you. From the moment we take our first breath, we become terminal. None of us knows if we'll still be breathing a moment from now, let alone tomorrow. So why do we let fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of what others think stop us from following our heart's calling? When I lost everything material, I found something priceless. I found myself. When I was stripped of all external security, I discovered an internal power that no circumstances could touch. As Neville teaches us, change your conception of yourself and you change your world. The Philippines didn't just become my home, it became my teacher. Through the darkest times, it taught me that true wealth isn't about money in the bank. It's about the richness of your consciousness, the depth of your relationships, and your capacity to give even when you think you have nothing left to give. To those of you watching, especially the person who asked this question, don't listen to others on YouTube. Don't even listen to me. Listen to that voice inside you, that quiet knowing that brought you to this crossroads in your life. This is your journey, not anyone else's. No one else can walk your path or know what's right for your soul. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about who you become through the process of overcoming it. Every challenge I faced wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me. Every setback wasn't a stop sign. It was a directive to go deeper into my own consciousness and find new possibilities. So yes, my funds did dry out in the Philippine sun. Yes, I hit rock bottom. But that's not where the story ended. It's where it truly began. Because when you have nothing left to lose, you're finally free to become everything you're meant to be. Remember, your circumstances are not your destiny. Your current reality is not your final reality. And sometimes, what looks like losing everything is actually life clearing the way for everything you've been asking for. You see, we're all terminal in this physical world. So the real question isn't, what if I run out of money? The real question is, what if I never take the chance to truly live? Trust your inner voice, follow your path, and know that whatever happens, if you stay true to yourself and keep faith in the divine within you, you'll find your way, just as I found mine.